miners here at home.
Diesel cars use platinum as the catalyst, whereas petrol cars tend to use palladium. And as a result, as an unintended consequence of all of this, I think you're going to see, first of all, demand for small diesel cars just go through the floor. It's going to plummet. Because people are now asking, well, are we getting the kind of fuel efficiency we thought we were? Are we getting the kind of noxious gas reduction that we thought we were? And the other question, of course, is it limited to Volkswagen? Perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't. And we'll only know as time goes on. So as a result, I think as the demand for diesel cars plummets, so the demand for platinum catalysts will plummet as well. There will be a counterbalancing effect, I think, to a certain extent in terms of palladium. But that will only manifest itself for those mines that have a very, very large exposure to palladium relative to platinum, and that's quite rare.
So let's just explain this, because if you look at Lonmin behind you, Lonmin producing platinum, but an offshoot, part of the platinum group metals is palladium. So some of these platinum miners also playing quite strongly in palladium, but it depends on their exposure, as you say.
Absolutely. Now, Chris Griffiths, the CEO of Impala, a couple of days ago, came out and he made the very pertinent comment that over time platinum will come to the fore again in terms of fuel cell cars, where you actually get the cars running on hydrogen effectively. And that's a very, very clean way of doing things. But you know, that's way into the future. It may hasten the process, absolutely, with the discovery that diesel cars aren't nearly as clean as we thought they were. So that might help, but again, it's not an immediate thing. In the short term, I think the platinum producers, virtually without exception, will be under extreme pressure.
So we're seeing huge losses today on that board behind you. So VW definitely playing a part, but there are other things going on as well, raising ethical concerns again, talk of manipulation of prices. That can't be helping. And China as well, Investec releasing a note saying, we don't know when these prices are going to go up. So is it a confluence of forces? It's
a perfect storm. You've mentioned a couple of them. The other one, of course, is the fact that you've got the big reduction in demand coming out of China. And that's been a symptom now for quite some time. And unless and until we can get clarification coming from the Chinese authorities, and that's unlikely, as to what the real situation is in China, what the real demand situation is like. We see it as a consequence of the change, the recalibration of the Chinese economy away from a big production-oriented economy to something more consumer-oriented. And that's been going on for a while now. There is a very much a change in direction. But unless and until we can home in on what the real growth in China is it near 3 or 4%, as opposed to the officially forecast 6 to 7%? If that's the case, then the demand for commodities across the board is going to remain weak for some considerable period of time. And I think what we're currently experiencing, as the Investec report suggests, may not go away for a while yet.
So, Chris, we've been focusing on the miners, but the fact is the losses we're seeing of late spreading across the board. Volkswagen, like you say, raising questions about all car makers. The fact is, if you had not put your money in stocks this year, you may actually be doing better. And you spoke about the ethics. We're seeing top-level officials being implicated. Do you think what we're seeing is a huge lack of trust at the moment?
Across the board, and it's almost whichever industry you look at. If you talk to people in the risk management industry or specialists in risk management, and you say, how on earth could you mitigate this? How could you avoid this? When most risk management is concentrated on things like just bumping and ticking, going through a rather mechanical way of things. If you have individuals who are intent on cheating the system at an extremely high level, then some of the best risk management techniques in the world are really not going to be able to do very much about this. What this will mean in future is you're going to have tighter and tighter and tighter regulation and more compliance, which may or may not be able to actually solve the problem that was intended to do in the first place. So it raises all sorts of really intrinsic, deep, fundamental issues that currently beset corporates around the world.
So, well, Chris Gilmour, and talking about top leaders and trust, German prosecutors have launched a probe into fraud claims against former Volkswagen boss